The decision by the Bucks to terminate their first-year head coach Adrian Griffin was not impulsive. It came after months of lackluster team performance. Internal concerns had been mounting about the significant drop of their once elite defense, the problematic integration of newcomer Damian Lillard, and a prevailing worry that the team, initially considered a strong title contender, would fall short if no changes were made. The doubts about Griffin's leadership abilities intensified after the in-season tournament in December, where the Bucks suffered a loss to the Indiana Pacers in Las Vegas. This prompted internal discussions about the need for a change. And just like that, Griffin is out, and Doc Rivers, who stepped in as a consultant earlier in the season, is in. The Bucks signed Doc Rivers as the franchise's new head coach in a 4-year deal worth around $40 million. But how did things go so wrong so quickly? And how does a 2-seed fire their coach mid-season? Let's dive into that. But first, to help the channel continue to grow, please subscribe. And thank you. Troubles emerged early in the season for Griffin, a 49-year-old with 15 seasons of NBA assistant coaching experience, following a 9-year playing career. The spotlight first fell on Griffin when first-year assistant coach Terry Stotts resigned on October 19, 2023, just one day before the team's preseason finale. Stotts' departure was influenced by various factors, with a culmination of underlying issues surfacing after a brief verbal altercation during a shoot-around in Oklahoma City on October 17th. According to league sources, Stotts and Griffin had persistent disagreements regarding his role and responsibilities as an assistant. The perceived disrespect in that situation became the tipping point for Stotts, but regardless of the reasons for Stotts' exit, losing the most experienced voice on Griffin's coaching staff was an unquestionable setback, and perhaps the beginnings of doubts around Griffin. With Stotts gone and the Bucks still in search of their identity, especially after the semifinals of the in-season tournament, the franchise reached out to Doc Rivers. The intention was to bring in a seasoned coaching figure to assist Griffin in navigating the challenges and finding a successful path forward through the season. Before heading to Las Vegas, the Bucks boasted a 15-6 record, prompting leadership to organize a meeting between Griffin and Rivers, who was working as a broadcaster for ESPN during the in-season tournament. According to reports, the organization believed that Rivers, a seasoned 24-year NBA head coach and a champion with the Celtics in 2008, could provide valuable advice and guidance to Griffin as he navigated his inaugural NBA season with high expectations and a team geared for a championship. I mean, it makes sense. Throughout his coaching career, Doc Rivers has had several highly talented teams, and the Bucks were entering that realm with the addition of Damian Lillard. Following a disappointing loss to the Pacers in Las Vegas, the Bucks rebounded with a 7-game winning streak, seemingly steadying the ship during a solid 4-game road trip around Christmas. However, challenges resurfaced in the new year. Team sources revealed that players began to question Griffin's strategies on both ends of the court, expressing doubts about the nightly game plan, while players initially exhibited patience with Griffin, acknowledging the learning curve due to significant personnel changes at the season's start. Their concerns intensified as the team failed to demonstrate substantial growth by the midway point of the season. Team sources indicate that Griffin faced various challenges in the early stages of his tenure, encompassing the task of devising effective strategies on both ends of the court to unlock the Bucks' championship potential and effectively communicating his vision to players for execution on the floor. However, given the high stakes of the Bucks' current era, executive leadership found the growing concern over Griffin's ability to be a question too significant to ignore any longer. Throughout this season, the Bucks have grappled with defensive struggles, marking a departure from their status as one of the league's top defensive teams for 5 consecutive seasons under former coach Mike Budenholzer. At the time this video is published, the Bucks hold the 19th rank in defensive rating, allowing 116.3 points per 100 possessions. The tipping point for frustrations regarding the team's defense perhaps occurred after a 122-116 loss to the Houston Rockets at the beginning of January. Following that defeat, Giannis Antetokounmpo expressed his concerns about the Bucks' defensive issues in a borderline rant that lasted for 7.5 minutes. The frustrations persisted on January 17th as the Bucks suffered a 40-point defeat to the Cleveland Cavaliers, a game in which Giannis was absent due to a right shoulder contusion. The team, which entered the season with the buzz of the Damian Lillard trade, began to falter. This loss marked the 5th in a 9-game stretch, including consecutive defeats to the Pacers at the start of the month, with that humiliating loss to the Cavs highlighting the team's troubles. Significantly, the decline in their once stalwart defense, a trademark of their title-contending seasons with Budenholzer, was underscored by that recent Cavaliers game. Despite holding the 2 spot in the Eastern Conference, the Bucks, 3 years removed from that historic championship run, and with Giannis Antetokounmpo expressing his commitment through a 3-year $186 million extension, they are held to a higher standard in Milwaukee. Merely winning regular season games no longer suffices. The dismissal of Budenholzer, the winningest coach in the NBA from 2018 to 2023, signaled the Bucks' intent for Griffin to contend for championships. While Griffin's hiring represented a calculated risk, acknowledging his need for developmental time as a head coach, his numerous challenges ultimately led to his downfall. The big loss to the Cavs appears to have served as the tipping point. While Dame and Giannis have struggled at times to show synergy on the court, a game where Giannis was sitting could have been an opportune moment to unleash Lillard, allowing him the offensive freedom he enjoyed during his years in Portland. But instead, after the Cavs surged to a 22-2 lead in the first quarter, Lillard concluded the game with only 17 points on 7 of 20 shooting, accompanied by a -26 rating. Chris Middleton, the 3-time All-Star for the Bucks, grappling with a challenging adjustment period this season, encountered his own difficult outing by missing 9 of 10 shots, and he registered a -40 box plus-minus. But the struggles extended beyond Middleton and Dame, and even with Giannis's absence, that performance undoubtedly posed challenges for Griffin. Now, on the offensive front, the Bucks have generally performed well this season. At the time of his firing, they boasted an average of 124.2 points per game and scoring 120.5 points per 100 possessions. With those numbers, the Bucks stand as the league's second most effective and efficient offense, trailing only the fast-paced Pacers. However, despite their successful scoring, there's a sense of disjointedness in their offensive approach, specifically capitalizing on the 2 offensive juggernauts in Antetokounmpo and Lillard. There has also been reports that Lillard has faced challenges this season in adapting to the Bucks' offensive dynamic. While he's demonstrated patience with the coaches and teammates, there existed an inherent pressure on Griffin from the organization to optimize Lillard's talents, thus justifying the decision to part ways with Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, and 3 first-round picks to acquire him. Throughout this season, Lillard's usage rate stands at 26.9, a significant drop not only from his final season in Portland, where he achieved a career-high mark of 33.1, but also notably lower than Giannis's rate of 32.2, which ranks 3rd in the NBA. Middleton follows as the 3rd highest on the Bucks with a usage rate of 23.6. Despite Lillard being one of only 8 players averaging at least 25 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds this season, his efficiency has taken a significant hit. There's been a decline in his overall field goal percentage and 3-point proficiency. Is that decline because of the Bucks' offense or coaching? Or instead does it represent an offensive decline for the 33-year-old? Since December 21st, to the time of Griffin's departure, Lillard's scoring has decreased to 23.5 points per game, and his shooting efficiency has dipped to 40.4% from the field and 31% from 3. Griffin's challenges in fostering better on-court cohesion among his top players on the offensive end remained a source of contention until his departure. On the defensive end, the Bucks' struggles were even more noticeable, with some of those challenges being anticipated because of the changes in the team's defensive personnel. And up to this point, Griffin and his coaching staff struggled to devise a scheme that addressed personnel issues and effectively capitalized on defensive strengths of Lopez and Giannis. Despite several press conference pleas by Giannis for improved defensive efforts, the Bucks continued to demonstrate weak defense, including a loss to Utah Utah, where they let 132 points, and even though they won against Detroit recently, they allowed the 4-38 Pistons to score 135 points in that narrow victory. Now, with Griffin's departure, the Bucks must navigate a path to correct their course and position themselves to contend for an NBA championship this season. Doc Rivers undoubtedly brings a level of experience that Griffin lacked, but Doc has also been known at times to come up short as the coach of star-studded teams. Do you think the Bucks can make a push to the finals this year? And was Adrian Griffin's firing warranted? Let us know in the comments. And again, please subscribe. Thanks for watching Basketball Pantheon.